In this video, I'm going to show you a step-by-step process on how to replace your kitchen sink and drain pipes. The new sink I'm installing is the exact same size as the one I'm pulling out, so this should be a fairly easy install. The new sink is that bronze stainless steel, and the one they're replacing, this is kind of a plastic granite looking sink, and the problem is it gets white chalky film all over it about 2 days after you clean it out. The easiest thing to do is take a photo underneath your sink of all the drain pipes if that's what you're going to be replacing, and then take that with you whenever you go to one of the big box stores, and then you can pick out all the exact same piping. What I want to do is just clear off the countertops so you have working area and clean out everything underneath the sink. The water supply for your hot and cold, now this is going to be up to you. I don't like messing with these small controls. I like to go down in the basement and find a large ball valve and shut off the water there. A lot of these little valves like this, you go to shut them off and you're fine, and you go to turn them back on and they'll start leaking a couple hours or a couple days later. If you have a whole house filter like this, you can easily turn this valve and not have to worry about it leaking. Or you can go down to your main line and shut off one of the bigger ball valves. And if you happen to have a sink or a bathroom in the basement, go ahead and open up those two valves. And then come over to the sink that you're working on and open up that valve. And that's going to relieve all your water pressure. Removing all of this drain piping, and that will give me a little better access to remove the water lines. So if you have a dishwasher, just close up this clamp, slide it back, slide the dishwasher tube off. And then I always lay paper towels down in here, because once we start taking this apart, if you tip it a little bit, you're going to spill some of the water that's in there. So now we can loosen up this slip nut here, this one right here, and then we'll loosen up this slip nut right here, and then this whole thing should just come right out. That's why I put paper towels down there, because you will get a little bit of water to come out after you take this last one off. Now we need to undo the water lines connected to the faucet. So we need to get underneath a little bit. So I like to use one of these foam pads or get an old pillow, and then that will be a little more helpful on your back. Water lines aren't labeled, or there's really no way for you to tell, or you've never done this before. Hot is almost always on the left, or if you can figure out which one your hot water is coming from, just take a Sharpie and write H on that one and write C on the other one. That's the way it's labeled for time to reinstall. Now I'm going to be reusing the faucet, so I've got everything marked. I got C to C, H to H, so I know how to reconnect it. Take those water lines apart. It's going to depend on how many tools you have in your toolbox. You can use open end wrenches, you can use channel locks, you can use an adjustable wrench like this. Whatever you have in your toolbox, it's going to work the best. And go ahead and disconnect your hot and cold water lines. Ready to undo the sink clamps. As you can see, that clamp right up there, I need a Phillips screwdriver or drill, and all we do is loosen all those up around the sink. It's really handy to have about a 12 to 16 inch Phillips extension on a drill, and that will help you spin those screws right out. Depending on who installed your sink, they may have ran a bead of silicone around your sink. You'll have to cut that with like an X-Acto knife or a razor knife. If your sink's been installed a long time and it's kind of stubborn to get out, you can always use a flat blade screwdriver. Just be very careful not to scratch up your countertop. You just kind of tap it underneath and work it up and down all the way around, and eventually it will pop out. Now if you have any silicone or any kind of glue residue along here, you're going to want to clean all this up. This one had just a little bit in a couple spots. Now we're going to install our strainer baskets. So if you have a metal sink, you have to use plumber's putty to seal up the basket to the sink. If you have any other kind of sink, you can go ahead and use silicone. In the strainer basket, you just take the nut and the washers off. And if you're using a metal sink, you're going to use the plumber's putty and roll it into like a 1/4 inch long piece that's going to look like a large worm, and then you're going to run it around this lip right here, turn this over, and put it through the sink. You don't put any sealant on the actual sink. If you have a non-metal sink, you can go ahead and put a bead of silicone around here and do the same thing. Now on the bottom side, you're going to install the rubber washer first, then the fiber washer, and then the locking ring. And then you're going to go ahead and tighten it all up. You should see some of your sealant squeeze out a little bit. You don't have to make this super tight, just a little more than snug. The plumber's putty, you're going to make it look something like this. You're going to go to about a 1/4 inch diameter, and then we're going to wrap this around the basket. You'll have a bead of putty around the basket like this. Now we can go ahead and install. Tighten, you want to see this putty squeeze up around this ring. And now go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. To tighten that up, you can just use a large channel lock. You don't have to make this super tight. You just want to kind of get it snug and go about a half turn. Now once you have it tight, you can go ahead and just wipe this plumber's putty off. At this point, both strainer baskets are installed. The faucet is installed. So now we can go ahead and lift the sink into place. Set the sink in place. We're going to take some 100% silicone, and we're going to run a small bead about a 1/4 inch out from this edge. You don't want to make this too big or it's going to gush out when you put the sink in place. So from this edge over about a 1/4 inch, and then you only want about an 1/8 inch to 3/16 bead of silicone all the way around. And then use whatever fasteners is provided with your sink. Go ahead and screw it down and attach it to the countertop. Go ahead and connect your water lines, and I would connect farthest back and work your way front of the cabinet. So go ahead and tighten those up. Whenever you shut off your water, go ahead and slowly turn it on, because there's probably people in the house that want to use the water, maybe take a shower or a bath. We can go ahead and turn it on even though we don't have the drain connected yet. So now the rest of the house has water if you shut it off that way. Water on both hot and cold. I want the water to get to the faucet, and then I want to be able to get under there and check for leaks. If there is a leak, it's easier to fix now than with all of that drain piping installed. I know I have water to the faucet. Go ahead and check your fittings, and if there's any leaks, all you probably have to do is tighten them up a little bit more, but it's a lot easier to fix now than when we put in the drain pipes. If there's no leaks, we'll go ahead and move on. Now we can go ahead and install the drain piping. You can reuse your old stuff if it's in good shape and it's going to fit up exactly the same. Otherwise, if you're going to start from scratch like I am, we'll just take all this stuff out of the package, and I usually start from the bottom and work my way up to the sink. Now would be a good time if you took a picture before we started this to kind of look over the picture and make up the new drain pipe the same way. So when you start installing your slip washers and your lock nuts, I like to take some high quality silicone O-ring grease and just get it all around on all these slip washers. And you can also put just a little bit on the threads in here. That's going to help you tighten them up, and it's going to keep the corrosion out. Need a job, dishwasher drains all hooked up. Everything's nice and tight. All we need to do now is run the sink for a little bit and then check for leaks. Now before putting everything back under your cabinet, wait about 10 minutes and just feel all around all of your drain tubing. And make sure that you don't feel any water leaks. And that's it, guys. This project is complete. Now you save yourself a lot of money by not hiring a plumber and doing it all on your own. You might have to make an extra trip back to the hardware store, but that's a lot cheaper than hiring somebody. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.